No, I
Oh,
don't
so
think
this
so.
is Yao.
Hi, Una. How are you?
Hi, good to meet you. I'm well, thanks. Yeah,
Good, good.
excited to be here with
Right.
you guys. I listened in to one of them and I thought, oh, well, that sounds really lovely and kind of just informal. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
what can go wrong kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, no. And I think that's what makes us different. And when we grow more, I think this is what the feedback we got so far. This is what people like, what they resonate with. That it's
Yeah,
chilled, nothing scripted, no questions prepared, and
No,
yeah.
just
yeah.
go with
So
the
And
flow.
it's never enough 1 hour. It's never enough anyway. No, it's just so many things always come up. So let's have a banter, Daddy.
I hate this bit so much.
So we'll chat for a bit and then we come to you. We're not ignoring you. It's just like an intro. So, how are you?
I'm great. I'm just looking forward to this banter.
Okay. Okay. So let's start. Yeah. Hello, this is Ivana,
And this is Yao,
and you're listening to the podcast Live in Black and White.
and all the shades in between.
We share all things life, relationships, marriage, parenting, race, and much more. If you enjoy listening to us, then please follow or subscribe to this podcast. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook under Live in Black and White. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Life in Black and White and all the shades in between. What is that sound? I just heard something. Did you hear it?
I
Yeah.
did. I heard a beep.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. It's
yeah.
Yao's watch. Can you turn it off, please?
It's just okay. Do you know what? Everybody, I'm sure you're appreciating the banter that's already flowing and stuff between us.
It's not banter. I'm just telling you, turn it off.
Okay. Go on. Go on.
So, how are you, Yao?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah, good.
So, Yao is full of smiles and positive energy, which is nice. We hope you had a lovely 2 weeks. And we did. I'm just trying to remember what we did in the past 2 weeks. But yeah, just normal, usual. Being parents, me being a wife, you being a husband, annoying each other is normal, and loving each other. And
Okay.
what's that twitch in your face?
I
What's that twitch?
was also thinking, when are we going to get to the banter bit? Or are we?
Oh my God, it doesn't have to be a banter. We're just chatting.
Okay, right.
Just go with the flow.
Okay.
You lost the flow.
Didn't I?
How
What? I think you find that I'm actually catching the flow. You don't realise
like
Right.
Rachel Green said, how yes, sorry?
this is intimate banter on a different level that you're not realising.
Okay. Like
Okay.
Rachel Green said,
She wants to laugh, see? It's funny.
how Rachel Green said, how do you expect me to grow if you don't let me blow? Do you remember?
And Ross said, I don't really
Don't
have a problem with that.
yeah.
Okay.
We always quote friends anyway. So yeah, we are okay. We're going to Slovakia in few weeks to visit my family. So that's nice. And my mom is coming over again. We mentioned that last time that she was here, but she's coming again because Yao is going to London. He's going away. He's gonna leave me for a few days. At least he says he's going for work, but I don't know where he's really going.
No, I'm actually going out for an absolute raging party,
That's
and I'm
fine.
not going to be back for a little while. But I'm looking forward to it. That's the main thing,
That's
though,
all
right?
right. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. So anyway, that's why I have my mom coming to help me with with our cherubs because I can't do it on my own. Anyway, they're so challenging. So speaking of kids, that brings me to our today's guest.
Ah,
Hey,
I like
see the
that.
bridging?
Brilliant. Nice.
I'm good, and I.
Yeah.
Who is Oona Alexander? I don't even know what title to give to you, but we get to that in a minute. But she basically helps families like us, desperate parents who struggle with children's behavior, children not listening, children acting up, us being shouty, us losing it, and being desperate. Why don't you just listen? And I'm sure all parents can resonate with this.
Obviously, we can't because
Yeah, of
ours
course.
are cherubs and just simply do everything that they're asked
Yeah.
of, they're just amazing. So it's fine.
Yeah, let's just
Okay, sorry. I'll stop the bantering and stuff now, Una. Apologies.
So this is what Una does. This is what she helps people with. So I'll let her introduce herself more.
Oh,
Hi, Una.
oh, thank you. Thank you both. It's just it's very nice to be here with you, hear the banter and all. And,
Thank you. Thank you. I told you it was bad, didn't I?
yeah, well, I'm all of those things. I'm in parenting expert. I never liked the term expert, but I guess that's what I am. Parenting guide, parenting consultant, coach, mentor, whatever you like to call me. But I do exactly what you said.
Magician, you are a magician.
I like that title, yes. And I help parents take back control of their family, be the parent they want to be, and enjoy their children more. Yeah, that's how I would summarize it.
Wow. So what exactly, or I don't know where to start with questions, but what exactly is your focus? Yeah, is it challenging behavior or is it little children, babies? So what age are we talking about? Let's start with
It
that.
really, yeah, good question. I mean, it is kind of all the way up. But I find that people come to me particularly with 2, 3-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 8, 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds. Those are the kind of pocket, but and anything in between. But those are the ages that often come to me, and it is particularly challenging behavior that the parents don't want them not being the parent they want to be because they're being shouty, scary parent, and want to be. It's not the parent they thought they would be. It's not the person who they feel they actually truly are, and it feels like it's really difficult to be that one because however much you try and resolve to be how you thought you'd be, the next day you're not being that one again. So that's where I help. And I would say it's challenging behavior. It's kind of it always falls into 2 categories. One is children not doing what you ask them to do, what you want them to do, what you've told them to do, what you need them to do in order to make a life work. And then children doing things that you don't want them to do, as in tantrums, rudeness, defiance, aggression, even dangerous behavior. I had someone on the end of last week with a 3-year-old who had already broken 3 TVs by throwing the remote at it. I mean, I've had it quite a number of broken TVs. But that was quite a record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, it's not that bad with us, with our kids, I mean.
Yes.
Let's, this sounds amazing, but let's rewind a bit. I would love to hear, or our listeners, I'm sure would love to hear your story. Like what led you to start doing this job? Because I know you have a great story with your son. So if you can tell us, and by the way, if you hear some stomping in the background, it's our little cherubs. It's nothing to do with my editing because I'm a great editor.
Oh, wow.
But these stomping sounds from upstairs are very hard to get rid of. Yeah. But I'm just keeping my cool. I'm not going to lose it. It's
right.
fine.
We've got
They're
Una.
kids.
We've got
Yeah.
Una here, right?
Yeah, it makes it very real. I mean, my son will probably ring, so we'll just have a real conversation.
Yes. So tell us your story, please.
Yeah, well, I guess like many helpers and guides in this life, I've had my own story, and it's got 2 stages, or I've been through things which have made me want to help others not go through similar. And the first was in my own childhood, being in a family, quite a sensitive family of lots of strong personalities and lots of conflict. And being the more compliant one and the youngest, I was often sent in to appease. In this case, it was often my father, because Una will be able to get round him, send Una in to talk to him. And then I more and more took that role on for myself, and I'd mediate between my parents where there was conflict and also between my teenage siblings and my father. So rather, a bit dysfunctional as an introduction to this work. I shouldn't have been doing that as a little child, but it made me realize as an adult that, this work is important, that there are things to iron out in families, and where conflict is addressed in a grown-up way, children don't have to fall into these dysfunctional roles. And then when I had my own son, I wanted to give him a beautiful childhood, like we all do, the very best I could give him, and for it to be different to my own childhood, for him never to feel wrong. Now, my parents were, my parents were great, not to diss them or anything, but as a sensitive child, I often felt wrong. I often felt misunderstood. I often felt I had to hide who I really was. And I didn't want that for my son. And I wanted him to feel really confident in who he was and happy to be himself and seen, heard, loved, and understood, as far as I understood it then. But then it wasn't so easy as most of us find. So very easy when it's not easy when they're babies, but it's easy to be that calm, patient parent, that one with infinite understanding. Well, it isn't. I know I'm talking to the wrong person to say that it's easy, because it obviously isn't.
From that sense,
but from that sense,
they don't have challenging behavior.
Exactly. So, so the challenge, I mean, there's one incident I remember from when he was 13 months old, so already still very young, when he bit me, he started to bite me, and it was especially in cuddly moments. And I remember that sense of outrage, and I've got to get this to stop, and he must understand that this isn't right, and all that. And I tried to tell him very clearly, very severely, and first clearly, and then when it didn't work, severely. And then there was a point where I picked him up and I put him in the next door room, and I closed the door. I started closing the door, and then I saw his lower lip quiver. And that's when I thought, I don't want to be that parent. I don't want to be scary parent. What am I doing? He's only 13 months. And that started me on the journey of, okay, so this isn't as easy as I thought. How do we do this? And I started a journey with many stages. I don't need to go into all those steps, but it was when I finally did an in-depth training, which took me to all sorts of different locations in Europe, and it took place over a number of years, that I realized there's always a reason for children's behavior. And when you go upstream and address that reason, then you can resolve the behavior, you can help the child. And it's when I saw that, I thought, oh, there's such a simplicity to this. Does everybody know? There's like this, because everybody's struggling here, and everybody you talk to has another theory, or somebody's just told them, or they just think it's this or it's that. And I wanted, and obviously there were a few, there was more to it than this one simple thing, but when the scales fell from my eyes, it felt like that, right? It felt like, oh, then I thought, well, this is too good not to share. And I wanted to help people, really.
But this is the thing, like, why is this not commonly known? It's like with the routine, when we had a routine with baby Yao, it made such a big difference, when he was a baby. And we were shocked, or I was, why no one teaches these things in hospitals, like antenatal classes. And this is similar, Why are we left to struggle when there is a simple solution?
But it's not always a simple solution.
Yeah, it's.
No, I don't mean simple, but I mean there is a solution. We don't have to struggle for years and fall apart, and that's what I mean. Yeah. So
it's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know if I have an immediate answer for that, but I'll let it percolate.
I just wonder, like, why is that? But it's like when you adopt a child, like we were talking the other day, you adopt a child or you foster parent, you get a year of preparation, all the tools you need to be a good parent. But if you're a biological parent, you get nothing. That's just crazy,
There is, but it's still not to the extent that what we need and stuff, right? Certain things have shifted. We always turn around and say, like, previously before in some cases we would have the village, you know, a lot
Yeah.
of people and stuff, a lot of different aspects, or a lot of different kind of viewpoints in trying to help someone, whether it's support there
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, just advice and stuff. In some cases, it's probably a little bit more kind of insular, like, you know, maybe a mother or a dad, a parent is just kind of in their own world, in that kind of silo, trying to move things forward, trying to make things happen and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe it's again.
I think you're right. I think it is a lot to do with that lack of village,
Yeah.
and also I think it's to do with, well, I think at least why people struggle is often to do with the fact that there is knowledge, but that knowledge often can paralyze us because we think, oh, there's so much that we could
Oh,
do
yeah.
wrong, and then it's not actually helpful knowledge. I mean, or
Yeah.
it doesn't land helpfully
Yeah.
always.
Plus, you have so many options these days. Not so much advice. You don't know who to listen to often. But yeah, that's a conversation for another day. But I would like to ask, like you said, there is always a reason behind the behavior. In your experience, what is the reason? What
Yeah, well, the reason is to do with the needs that children have.
in
And
that
then
moment or overall?
in that, a good question, in that moment, yeah, it can be very momentary, but it always falls into three really different categories. One of them is to do with connection and feeling seen, feeling connected, feeling understood, feeling loved, not just being loved, but feeling loved in that moment,
Yeah.
heard. And one is that is the primary need. And there's nothing, and we know that because we all the talk about attachment and bonding and everything. We know that that's a primary need. We don't necessarily know that that's a major key to solving behavior in the moment. Now, that in the moment question is a good one
Mm.
because a child can be very loved and connected at kind of cuddly times. And then when you go, right, now we need to brush your teeth or whatever, then they feel disconnected, and
Mm-hmm.
then the behavior will they might start resisting or putting up a fight or whatever, and then we come with stuff that isn't very connecting, and that then exacerbates the problem, and then you get an escalation.
Right.
So they do need fundamental connection, but they also need it in the moment.
Yeah.
So that's a good
Mm-hmm.
distinction to make. Then the other need they have is adequate freedom and space to be themselves, the sense that it's okay to be me. And that's could be misunderstood as laissez-faire parenting, but it isn't. It's about finding those moments and those times when you just let your child do their thing, because there are certain things that it's best they learn by themselves or that they do by themselves. For example, decide how much they're going to eat of the food that you've provided.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just one example. And the other thing that they need, which you already mentioned, is to do with structure and routine, rules, and knowing, what's happening, where they stand, what's expected of them, and when things are happening. So it stretches all the way through from, a regular daily routine to, rules about this and that, and whether you throw a ball in the living room or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned before is obviously you spoke about the fact that, you know, there's sometimes like different groups, you know, different age
Oh yeah.
periods of children that you have, and even when you're talking about this whole momentary thing where they feel that connection and so forth, that's going to shift a lot as they grow up, as they kind of, you know, even if you've got like the external environments of, you know, additional areas like school, you've got things like you've got, you know, the family unit and things, but then you also have the biological kind of things that, you know, the hormones and things that
Yeah.
come
Sure.
into play. And even if you've got that kind of very loving connection and things, it's still, there can be a lot of other factors that really kind of impact
Yeah. Yeah,
this.
you're right. And they do mature and change. And
Yeah.
that piece about letting them be themselves and the amount of freedom they get and so on, that obviously has to change. So the very small child, it's this much, isn't it? And with a teenager, they're basically stepping right away, aren't they? And how that connection will change. With a small child, it's quite physical still, isn't it? And then gradually you need to develop the emotional connection, because the physical won't be enough at a certain point. They understand language, they want to hear it as well as feel it physically. So obviously things, you're quite right, do change. And so the core question there was, how does that adapt? How does that, yeah, I mean, but basically the principles are the same.
Okay.
A teenager still wants to feel connected and understood. They're going to kind of push back anyway, and they need to push you away. That's just part of the development stage that they're going through. But they will still want to feel understood. They'll still want you to say something like, yeah, I get that you probably don't want to talk about it, but I see that might be a difficult situation you're in right now. And, I'm there whenever you do want to talk about it. So, with a younger child, you might be more direct or just more intimate. So you allow them, if they want, that space, but they still need that connection. They still need to feel loved.
Yeah.
And a certain amount of structure, so that the parent still has the say over some things.
Yeah.
It's less and less, of course, but
Yeah. Let's use practical examples, so we don't just talk theory. So let's talk like the youngest. So let's say 3-4-year-old, which we have at home actually, 3.5-year-old.
or 3.5.
He has so much anger in him, and I'm sure lots of parents can resonate with this. Angry toddler who gets very shouty and angry when he doesn't get what he wants. Or I think that's the only reason when he goes off like mental.
In my view of this, he's got 2 older brothers.
That's
who are the same age, who are obviously older. They can do a lot more things than things that he can do. He has more availability to some of the things that they have, which they didn't have at his age, because it just wasn't there. We could say no there, and then there was nothing else. But it's in plain sight of, they're playing with like a Game Boy, not a Game Boy, but a Switch or whatever and things, and he wants to be involved, and there's kind of back and forth. If he's not heard, if he's saying something like a couple of times and nobody hears, then he goes to shouty mode. Everybody hears, and he's got everybody's attention and things, right?
Yeah. But we made a mistake. We told him that when he shouts, he gets what he wants.
But there's
when
a
he was smaller.
But there was a balance, wasn't there? Because sorry,
what I'm hearing from what you said, Yao, is that you kind of empathize with his position. He's actually got challenges that the older two didn't have, because they didn't have older ones to look at and think, I want that, or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's an important feeling to have, that empathy with his position and his point of view on things. And that is something to talk about with him. And this is one of the kind of core teachings that I teach, which is understand your child's point of view. Perfect example, unprompted. You do understand his point of view. Then talk to him about it. If he's escalating very fast because brothers are ignoring him, or, you might be saying, you're too young or whatever, or anything else. Maybe what you're not saying, I don't know, but maybe you're not saying, oh, I get it. Is he also called Yao, or what's his name?
Yeah, Baby Yao, we call him.
Baby Yao. I get it. That is so frustrating for you. You're seeing your brothers playing on this thing that looks so much fun, and you want to do it. I would want to do it if I was you, seeing my siblings do that. I get it. And come, let's go, and and then you lead him on to the next thing. But you don't just enforce the boundary because that's what makes him wild. The fact that he hasn't been, not only can he not do it, which is kind of annoying, but the fact that he hasn't really been heard. Now, I'm making several assumptions here that you're not doing that, but anyway, you can correct me if I'm wrong and tell me you've tried that and whatever.
I don't think we haven't tried that,
no.
but yeah.
But I've heard that somewhere, yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioning that. And we can apply it to anything, like when he's angry or any age, no? So you give them the acknowledgement, like I understand, I see you, I hear you, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they will
very
see
good.
stuff.
Very good. You've got it already.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
So
apply it to any situation.
yeah.
This acknowledgement, empathy,
Yeah.
whatever. And, you know, I think, and so long as it's genuine, so long as sometimes I say it passes through the heart, you're not applying a kind of formula that may sometimes end up sounding like, I see you're frustrated or whatever.
Mhm.
Doesn't work. But if it's really genuine, you're really seeing his situation, and empathy is understanding and sharing the feelings of another. So if you're really understanding and sharing his feelings, you're taking the time to do that, it arrives, it lands. You'll see the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I'm sure you want to say something.
No, because I'm
Say if they don't listen repeatedly, and you say something a few times, and you give them, say, the acknowledgement, you give them, and then they still don't listen. Is
Okay.
that yeah?
Okay, you want something for that? I've got something for that too. Okay, the thing for that I call connect invite. So it's still got a bit of connect in it, but usually when you want them to do something, they're doing something else, they're involved in something else, right? What might it be in the cases of your sons? What's coming to mind?
They're watching something on the laptop, and we say it's time to go to bed or wash your
Cool,
teeth.
exactly. Classic example. Okay, so they're watching something. So instead of straight away saying it's time to go to bed, you get closer to them, you get interested in what they're doing, you get down to their level, you watch what they're watching, whether it's a cartoon or a game or whatever, and you start talking about whatever they are involved, whatever is catching their attention.
Mhm.
So, and if you'll know because you know them what it is about it that they're enjoying, and you talk to that. So you're not talking to them, but you are kind of sideways on to them, if you like,
Where they are first before
where
they
they are, because
Yeah.
everybody likes it when somebody's interested in what they're interested in. It's a nice feeling. You feel really supported, you feel connected. And then at a certain moment they should in the sense of they would normally feel connected, and they'll acknowledge it either by looking at you or saying, yeah, he's the baddie actually, but we thought, and they'll respond to what you said. And then that's the moment when you're connected, and it's time to move them over to the next thing, but not by doing what I said earlier, which was like, right now we need to. So obviously it's delicate, but the point here is to not make it something negative, or not say you've had your 20 minutes, or whatever we say that's logical. It needs to have a kind of emotional content, a positive emotional content. What happens first? Do you need to turn it off, or how do you bring that laptop time to an end? What's the next step?
You're quite good at this, where you'll give them, like, say 5-10 minutes or so, and that's taken me a little while to kind of get used to kind of doing that, just giving them like the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes. Can we just see to the end of this? How long you
Okay, that's good. That's good, because that's another form of empathy, like seeing it from their point of view.
Yeah.
So that's what you might talk about there. So you can see, oh, there's 5 minutes left on this one, or whatever. You can have a little negotiation.
Yeah.
I mean, if your thing is working, Ivana, you can do that. But this is for when it doesn't work and you need to dig a bit deeper.
Yeah. Or
And then,
oh, sorry, go on.
how old are your older boys?
9.
Oh, they're 9. Okay. So what is interesting for them, because it's helpful to get them off something like that. Do you both do this, so there's one for each of them, or is it one of you taking them both to bed? Because the other one of you is
Usually me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're more so.
you.
But it
And
takes, yeah. Sorry, go on.
do you make them turn it off first, or how does that go that
Yeah,
bit?
they close it and we go upstairs. Yeah.
And they're okay once
And
they've
then
acknowledged.
that's when the struggle starts, yeah. And I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
this is what lots of parents can resonate with. So, yeah, million questions, negotiations. Yeah, I need to go toilet 2 times, and then I don't know. He's doing this. They wind each other up. Doesn't help that they share the room, but yeah, we can't afford for everyone have a their own room. So they wind each other up. No, often there is a silence. Finally, they read usually before. Then there is a silence, and we just hear screaming. And Mason says, "Henry did I don't know what." So yeah, it's sometimes it's a 2 hour process before. Yeah,
Okay.
we
Okay.
take them upstairs, and by the time they actually sleep.
Okay. So you can use, you said that you can use acknowledgement at different points. There's probably well, no, I'll ask you, what do you think is going on fundamentally there? What is actually, why are they dragging their heels, making it take?
They need more time with us. That's my initial instinct says. Yeah, they didn't have that day, or I don't know, overall, they didn't have enough of me or of daddy.
Do you think they don't overall? Or do you think they just,
Always
I mean,
more time.
children would children often just want more. I mean, in a way, there's never enough.
I spend more time with them than Yao, that's for sure. But some days I'm just done to do anything, yeah, and that's normal. So maybe I should just I do explain, but in a very way, like I'm done. Yeah, it's been a hard day. Just I need to rest, or I need my peace. Yeah, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
not very doesn't show any empathy.
Yeah, okay. And I get it, because there's nothing easy about raising children. And you've got you've got two who are kind of middle of childhood now, haven't you? And you've got a young one. But you've got the ages that can be a bit more. Remember, I said 3, 6, 9. So you have got those ages which are little kind of nodules, which can be a little bit more intense. Not to say everything else is easy, but it can be. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so I get that. I mean, yeah. And I mean, the reason I asked that is that because that's a more, it goes back to that question of yours. Do you mean connection generally, or do you mean in the moment? Because we could look later at, if we have time, how much connection time are they getting? How much one-to-one time are they getting overall? But let's look more usefully, maybe for now, at this specific bedtime thing. One thing is they need to have you before they can let go of you. So the more you can be with them in that process, the more easily it will go. The more easily it will flow, and the more easily they will actually be able to let go and go to sleep, fall asleep if they've had you, as in they've felt connected. And you can use this empathy acknowledgement step with them, at the first protest, saying something like, "It's always sad when the day comes to an end." It probably feels like those just things that you just said. You haven't had enough of me and daddy. I get it. It's been a bit of a rush day, hasn't it? I've had so much on, and I probably haven't really properly looked in your eyes and smiled. Yeah. Let's do that now. Just those little things where you're just like bringing that presence and saying, "I'm here for you." And it doesn't need to be like 10 stories. It can be that.
Yeah.
Feel, oh, mom gets it.
Yeah.
So it's a slowing down.
Can we always... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Oona. Can we always be so patient?
Is it realistic to always, because it's amazing what you're saying, but we are only humans, you mean?
Yeah,
So
it's there is a lot that I've kind of picked up from there, and there's real bits there where you can just, like, even there, taking that moment and sitting with them and just actually connecting with them understanding what they're looking at, and that's gold, because that really does connect you with them, especially with where they're at and what they're interested in. But like sometimes it's just okay. You're not 3 anymore. You're not 4. You I get that you want some closeness and some, but we can't always have that. Will they not understand that? Or
Yeah, they will. I think you've raised a really important point, and we can't be that empathetic kind of parent all the time. Like, no, it's not realistic. However, if you do it sometimes,
yeah,
then they will be more flexible too, because they'll notice, oh, mommy's making an effort, or daddy, was really there for me then. And when you get enough of that,
yeah,
then they respond by softening. See, the thing is, what we don't see is we see the behavior out there. It's all happening out there, bedrooms, stairs, bathrooms, and it's all happening out there. And that's where we think it is. What we don't see is what they see.
yeah,
And when we're a little bit impatient or rushed, understandably so, whatever, it has an impact on them. And then you see the behavior that you don't want. So it's almost like you have to kind of step over your own shadow and do something that's a little bit of an effort, maybe, or alternatively, not do that.
but then
Help
you're
each other so that you're nourished enough, or just be wise and take whatever you can do, just to be a little bit, to have something in the tank so you can give it to them, and then your whole evening goes better. I'll tell you a story actually, which is really good. It's not exactly about bedtimes, but it's a really good example of this, what I'm just trying to express. I work with a mum, and her 4-year-old was hitting her young 1-year-old.
Mhm.
And so she was scared about going out of the room because, he would always do that. Now, I didn't work with her husband, but they were kind of working on the principles that I shared with her together. And they had this chart on their fridge where they recorded how they responded to his hitting or pushing, whatever it was, and how they responded. So both. And what they noticed was something really interesting. When he hit or shoved his sister and they responded with empathy and guidance, like it's not just like empathy, but they had that empathy piece in there and they responded like that with kindness but firmness, there weren't any more incidents in the day. But when they kind of forgot or whatever, life happens, and they we've told you so many times and you can't, and look, she's much younger than you, and all the normal things that kind of just kind of rattle off the tongue, right?
yeah.
Then there were more and more, there were several incidents in the day. So that's why I kind of believe if we can do it sometimes, we'll create an easier life for ourselves, and we don't have to be on the edge the whole time at the end of our rope, kind of hanging on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy. I mean, I don't really have an answer for that, because I know that having
No, but if you do it 50% of the time, even that's much better than 0. Yeah. So the purpose
yeah,
is to be
yeah,
perfect, but to just try your best.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how can we deal with, because they often argue with each other, another common thing, like the twins
yeah.
argue, yeah. It can be really triggering my anxiety when it's very loud. Is there anything we can do as parents to help them
Yeah.
in their own fights?
Yeah. What's the typical kind of grievance from one to the other?
Well,
I'm just trying. They're two, although they're the same age, they're different characters, own mannerisms, everything. One of them is a little bit more dominating of the other.
Henry, he's more, yeah. Let's use
Okay,
names so it's easier
okay.
to.
I wasn't going to use names, but Henry, that was your mum who put that in there. I'm joking. It's all good. Yeah. So Henry's more the logical, very much. Do this in steps. This is how it works. it's easy for him. He can do that. Mason is a little bit more, say,
Spontaneous.
and sensitive and stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So when one is thinking of doing it the logical way, the other one is maybe a little bit more and free,
Yeah.
and so they sometimes just clash because of it.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Okay, so it might be over constructing something or a project that they're doing together, like a.
Or just play.
They're just playing. And
Just playing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what would that be? Lego, or what? Just give me a kind of. Or is it more like a video game or something?
No, say for example they're playing football, and Henry's ready to play football. He's got his stuff on and he's ready to play, and all he wants is Mason to go and goal, and they can play or whatever. And
Mason is just being silly, but he's just doing his thing. He's dancing and he's playing.
He's not in that serious mode that Henry's in.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps. That's great. Okay, so it's at risk of repeating myself. You can actually use this same step of acknowledgement. Henry, that must be really frustrating for you. That you're already set to go. You've got your kit on and everything, and you're just waiting, and you can't see anything happening, and you're not sure what's going on. And Mason, I get it. It's all not so urgent for you, is it? It just feels like, well, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. My brother wants to do that, but why should I hurry? I've got other things. You're doing this other thing right now. I get it. So guys, what are we going to do so that, what are we going to do so that
the strict one is
you both, yeah, exactly. You have to use your words carefully so that you both can enjoy a nice evening together. What are the options? And if you do that, it's good to have a few options up your sleeve, but they're 9, they will have some ideas. What do you think, Henry? What do you think, Mason? How could we make this work? You want this, you want that. It's basically the overall pattern is you want this, you want that. How can we make this work, guys? Because there isn't a right and there isn't a wrong. And I think it's interesting because they're twins. That there isn't an age difference so there isn't the classic dynamic from what you said of one always being told off and the other one always being the victim and all the difficulties that kind of rise from that. So this is different, but the same principle applies. You don't want to make anyone wrong, anyone right, but you want to work out a positive future. I think we're often very kind of focused as parents on making it fair. But if we let go of that, not to make it unfair, but just you can't really work out how it's impossible to get to the bottom of what's fair or what's not fair, who said what, when.
Exactly. It's not possible.
No, it's not possible. So you have to focus, be future focused. Once they get back to playing, they're happy. So the thing is to try and get them back into play. Even if they're playing separately, but then they're kind of off.
We tried not to get so much involved in the arguments as such. Because
to let them argue, sometimes it's good to let them argue. I think.
Just so they can resolve it and things.
Yeah. I think that's another answer is just let them. Absolutely. Who is it? The let them theory? Let them.
Mel Robbins.
Mel Robbins, that's it. Let them. Yeah, let them. You're absolutely right to do that. If they're not coming to blows, I mean, I think often we intervene too early. So, with regard to what I said before, you could add that as like, hey guys, I sometimes notice you do this thing. How would, but I mean, you don't have to. I think letting them work it out is good.
Yeah, it depends how we feel in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if they're just sorting it out and just having a bit of a banter, then what's the problem? What's the problem?
That was good. That was the perfect timing.
Oh, brilliant!
We need a little bit of that, Oona.
Just maybe last question from me is what are your views on consequences?
I have a very firm no punishment belief, view, principle. I think that punishments just make children angry. They don't achieve their purpose.
But
I
what
think
if the consequence is positive? Say you do an extra chore, or positive, you know, like not feel like a punishment, but say you do an extra chore,
yeah,
or you
repair something that's been broken, or I think there is. I mean, that's kind of restorative justice, isn't it? Yes, I think there can be a place for that. I
but say
think
like no laptops or no screens for the day. You don't agree with that? You don't think that's working?
what would that be for? Oh, it's like for unrelated stuff, like not listening and not going to bed or something. Then that look, I don't think that really works. I mean, I always say to parents, look, if it's working for you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I'm not here to say, if it's working for you, you're happy with it. Okay, fine. I've got nothing to say. I don't find that generally works, because it kind of works in the moment to stop something escalating even further, but it doesn't work to actually change the behavior. I think certain consequences are important. Like, say, for example, if a TV got broken, you wouldn't replace the TV. So where's the TV? Broken, and then so that's a kind of consequence. Or if a child was violent or aggressive when you were out, I'm not saying this is you, but maybe for some listeners, it's not that uncommon, that you just then go home. Or dangerous behavior, you just then go home, without it being like, look what's happened, what you've made us do, but just, I want to keep everyone safe, so we're going home. And that's that. And then, it's sad for even also for the parents, because maybe it was a nice party or something, but you're investing in a happy future with your children, where you can rely on them not to kind of go into excessive behavior.
I love that, because that is more likely to make them think. No, because when you attack them, it's like in any relationship, you attack, you attack me, say, like you blame me, so I blame you back. It doesn't land. And it's the same with not that you do it, you never blame me. It's the other way around. Usually everything is your fault. It's all clear. But it's the same with kids now. We can't expect them to listen when we give orders, or we don't listen to them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Usually when children aren't listening, it's because they're not feeling listened to. Even if we think we're listening to them all day long, which you kind of are, but it's not that deep listening, like
that you're present. I like that. Yeah. I heard that somewhere, that if you give them 10 minutes of real presence, it's more than 24 hours a day you being somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because they feel it if you're really there. And I think that's something for you, Daddy.
I think that's really true. I remember going years ago, before I even had children, whatever, to a talk with a children's doctor who was a bit of a kind of wise guy for parents. And so it was a talk for parents. And she said, how many minutes a day do you think children need of your full kind of undivided attention? And then, she answered her own question, 5 minutes. And then there was this kind of gasp of people going, oh, really, only 5? And then there was another gasp going, oh my God, but they're not even getting that, because it's hard, isn't it, to be in all the things you have to do. I mean, the duties of a parent never end, do they?
Yeah.
And then to actually carve out that 5 minutes for each child it's a job. It's a job of work, really, to do that.
Yeah. And I love it. Like when we play with baby, I'll say now, he has the most one-to-one with me. I love it. It's just being in the present and no rushing, not thinking about my phone or whatever. It doesn't have to be 2 hours of intense play or me entertaining him. It's just do something together. It's And we also make sure we get some one-to-one with the twins. That's very important, I think, now as well, that they have that time with us, because they don't have it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Then they are getting what they need. It may not always be what they want,
Yeah.
Mm.
If they are getting some one-to-one time with you both, during the week, that's cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Oh, look at you, Yao.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board a little bit on some of the things.
Yeah, just remember
but
this.
No, there's definitely some thinking and stuff there. Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I hope it's been food for thought. And there's
Yeah.
no right way, is there? I hope it just kind of
Yeah.
No.
gives you some ideas, and also listeners gives them some ideas for what they might try out with their children.
How is this different to gentle parenting?
That's a good question. I think that gentle parenting is quite similar, although it's often misunderstood as a kind of more laissez-faire approach. But if you listen to Sarah Ockwell Smith, who's the kind of founder, and it is quite similar.
Yeah,
It's similar,
I think it's
because
so distorted now on social media. It's now people think that they have to be calm and perfect all the time, and it's not. It's not. I don't think that was the intention of the whole thing.
no, I think it's often interpreted as kind of being nicey, which isn't. I don't think that's very helpful. I do think you have to be firm, with children, and be a strong leader and make that very clear, and be in control, not necessarily controlling. That's not helpful, like micromanaging, but be in control. I don't know, because I've never trained in gentle parenting, whether gentle parenting practitioners would say, yes, that's what we agree with. I think it's perceived as something more lenient than what I teach, but I don't know for sure if that's
But it doesn't matter now at the end of the day because just tools that help. Yeah, can help.
exactly.
So
And I
we
mean,
don't need labels. Yeah, I just wondered if it's something different or okay. Anything else, Yang?
No, I'm really.
You're
Sorry,
letting it set in.
my brain's just ticking over and things. So, for
In
that,
a good way, I hope.
yeah, no, in a very positive way. So for that, I appreciate that. Thank
oh,
you.
good. Oh, good. Well, I find it endlessly fascinating.
Yes,
Mm.
it is. It is.
And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Una. Don't leave yet. Yeah. Yo, you okay? You look like you're gonna cry.
No. Just TikTok.
You look so old.
Wow, thanks.
It's just,
Hoping we're
here
en-
in the camera.
I'm hoping we're ending with banter, just
Yeah.
really bad banter at the moment.
No, we're not. Don't
No,
worry.
okay.
Just say goodbye to our friends
Okay.
who listen to this.
Thank you very much for listening to this. I appreciate that you've had to maybe see me and I'm looking a bit older and stuff.
No,
these
they don't
days.
see this. Don't worry.
Okay.
We
But
don't do
even if
videos.
you do a clip and you're seeing me
yeah.
as being a bit older, whatever. Thank you very much. Just leave us a review.
Yes.
Follow us and
Share.
share the message
Far and wide. And this one is especially needed in the world. Yeah. I'm sure that lots of parents will benefit from it. So please do share it for others so we can all just do a bit better. Not that we're not doing the best, but you know what I mean.
Make your lives easier, make their lives easier.
Yes, exactly. So Una, thank you so much again.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, good. So did we. And thank you for making Yao smile.
I smile a lot.
Yeah, but not tonight. You were not before we started. So you were tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So thank you for that as well. So dear friend, if you enjoyed, you know what Yao said. Share, follow, subscribe, like, whatever. Just help us grow and help us spread the message. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks very
Bye.
much. Bye.